You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Keith. Johnson.
From the AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com, and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is AFTERBUZZ TV's GCB After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. If you'd like to buzz in on tonight's show, you can buzz us at 424-256-1729. That's 424-256-1729. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's GCB After Show.
You know, I think this is my favorite TV show. It's certainly my favorite new show. And I was so bummed that Desperate Housewives is leaving, but GCB, I think, is the best thing since sliced bread. So
it is such a solid replacement.
It's fantastic. And hey, everybody, welcome back to another week of GCB. Tonight, we're going to be discussing episodes 5, 6, and 7. So whether you're listening in your car or at home or at work, we won't tell anyone, don't worry. Make yourself comfortable because we're just going to break it down. We have Jason Gallaher, AJ Gibson.
Hello.
I'm Derrick Shore, and we have the lovely Candon Bliss on the line joining us from Alabama. Hey, Candon, can you hear us?
I can hear you guys,
All right,
my GCB boys.
Perfect. You're a little outnumbered, Candon. How do you feel about that?
I am. I'm not sure what to think about it. I'm sitting here, I'm looking at the AfterBuzz feed online, and I see this picture of, like, all these beautifully dressed women, and then there's these 3 handsome boys in the studio talking about them. I'm just overwhelmed.
Yeah, I know. Well, you know, if I had 3 hunky straight men in a studio with me, I would identify with how you're feeling right now, Candon. So,
but he doesn't.
It feels pretty good. Oh wait, no, I don't have that, do I?
Oh wait, no,
Ronnie
you don't know how that feels.
Ronnie in the booth.
Ronnie in the booth. All right, perfect. There's got to be some straight people around here. Anyway, let's jump right into it. We're recapping 3 episodes, like we mentioned, 5, 6, and 7, and we're hoping to get Marisol Nichols in here one day soon. She, of course, plays Heather. I think one of the most likable characters on the show.
She's adorable.
I love her.
But you know what, though? If you had to pick a favorite,
Cricket.
Oh, Cricket, really?
Cricket is coming on. Without a doubt.
She's coming on strong lately. Oh,
so
last couple
strong.
episodes, yeah.
And she's just blunt. She says what she's thinking.
Yeah.
She's rich and not ashamed of it. I love her.
Yeah, you know, I love how it's the villain too, who always gets loved.
Right.
Because I think she's becoming more of a villain as the show goes on. No,
I think
She
we've really seen a human side of her though lately. With her and Blake trying to have a second child, and they're gonna go about it the natural way. And like when they reveal this, and she has her hesitations, she says it's because she doesn't feel connected to her one and only child, and she really revealed this softer side to her that she thinks
like
she's
she feels
too
like
harsh.
maybe she wasn't a good mother.
Exactly.
And yeah, I think that's interesting.
See, but Candon, correct me if I'm wrong, and maybe this is just me from my own perspective, but if I had a gay husband, I don't think I would be a bitch.
Yeah, me either. I mean, but you know what? It is kind of like you're having a catty girl best friend. Like sometimes, I'll be real honest, our gay husbands can get a little bit controlling and a little bit catty, just like other women. I mean, I have been a victim of it before. Sometimes you gay husbands think that you're right just because you're a gay husband.
I love how she used the word victim.
Yeah. Are you trying to drop
Yes.
a hint, Candon? Did I say something wrong in our past GCB shows?
I don't know. I'll have to go watch them again.
This is my first show. I'm off the hook. It's not me.
What do you guys think, AJ?
Yeah, Derrick and AJ, we'll see. You guys are on trial here.
Right.
That's okay. I like being on trial.
I love a good trial.
Role play is always nice. Geez, what is wrong with me tonight? Apologies in advance.
You're on a roll.
Jason and AJ, what do you think about the portrayal of Blake in this show? Because I know you said Cricket is your favorite. You both agree on that. But what do you think the portrayal of Blake is? Because I should frame it by saying, having grown up in a very religious, conservative place, I'm from Salt Lake City, my entire family is Mormon, I cannot tell you how many men like Blake I know who are gay, and everyone knows it, but they're married and they have families. I mean, Salt Lake is like the closeted gay capital of the U.S. So what do you think about his portrayal? Is it realistic? Do you find it Do you find it funny? What are your impressions of it?
I kind of go back and forth, actually. With each episode, they kind of delve into it a little bit more. So far, I haven't been upset. I mean, I like his choice in men.
Yeah.
I mean, he's an attractive guy, and I'm not mad at the good ranch hand. But no, I think that he's being portrayed in a way that I haven't seen a character portrayed on television ever, really. And I find that interesting.
I kind of have the same back and forth going on with Blake. There are times where I think, yeah, this is awesome. I like him a lot. I like that he's just in his own. He can do his own thing, and that they don't make Crickett and Blake's relationship seem odd. They just make it seem like it works for them, and I love that. But I was kind of a little perturbed when they're laying in bed and watching Spartacus together, and that is what turns Blake on to be able to have sex with a woman. And I think that didn't do justice to the gay community, that it was like, all it takes is a TV show and then he can have sex with a woman. It's like, as if people don't already think it's a choice enough.
Exactly.
You know, that sort of
like
really helps spur it.
A ripped, sweaty man in a loincloth, and then we're good to go.
Yeah.
This is a Christian show, right? So I don't know if that has anything to do with that, and I just thought of this up in my head, that could be why. Like, do you think that's some kind of underlying theme or underlying message that they're trying to get at with that storyline, or do you think it's just a coincidence?
Maybe.
No.
Maybe. I think that the rest of the show, though, they poke fun at this Southern conservative religious ideology, like that these people are all living, and I think that maybe that is a kind of a way for them to poke fun at it. And maybe in later episodes, maybe they're putting out there as like, look, this is everything else is so ironic. Why would we expect them to portray the gay man true to form?
Right, exactly.
It's part of what makes the show what it is.
Well, and Camden, as you and Jason have discussed in your own after shows about the first few episodes, I think this show truly walks a fine line when it comes to appealing to a broad audience, because I can think of many religious people who would watch this show from one perspective and say, oh my gosh, I love it. They're totally promoting Christianity. And then I think of my own perspective and I think, oh my gosh, Kristen Chenoweth is so stereotypical, closed-minded, crazy, crazy.
Right.
And so, and I love that they're able to do this, to bring these issues to the table and poke fun of it while at the same time being respectful. But I have got to say, Camden, that I agree with Jason and AJ that the moment the whole, oh, I'm gay and Crickett, you're my wife, but let's have sex anyway. I thought that the writers of the show had done a really fantastic job of saying, okay, you know what? A lot of people live in arranged marriages like this. And I use the term arranged marriage as gay man, straight woman, and it's just their agreement.
Yeah.
And that's fine. It's no one else's business but theirs. But I did feel a bit like I winced a little bit when the whole, oh, we're gonna have sex even though why? Like, why would we?
I think it's interesting that, like you say, that you winced a bit. I did too, and I think that that's okay, because I think as gay men, I don't know if you can agree with this, but I think that if we want people to understand us and accept us for who we are, and at least empathize with us, it's hard to do that when we can't empathize with a gay man on television who we may not understand. I wouldn't have that sort of relationship.
Right.
But who am I to judge?
Yeah.
So
but that's kind of the whole show.
Yeah,
I mean, like
exactly.
you guys were saying, they walk a fine line between being respectful and disrespectful. They're bringing up a lot of issues that a lot of people think about these days, and they do a very good job of playing each side. It's like, Kristen is one side of the Christian, and Amanda is the other side. And they're both right in a lot of ways, and they're both wrong in a
Camden,
lot of ways.
we're sort of losing you in the reception.
Did you just go down the basement? Be honest.
I'm watching down in my basement.
Stay on a high floor, Camden.
I was also disappointed about them deciding to have a child the natural way. Strictly from like a writing standpoint, they set the scene up so well with Crickett saying, I want to have a surrogate because I can't give up alcohol and sushi for 9 months.
Right.
And
so funny.
Hilarious.
It was great. And then they went further by having them look at prospective women candidates to be the surrogate mother, and that just joking at how since she worked for Obama, that was the end all be all. And they really set the stage to introduce a really funny new character that could sort of play off of Crickett and Blake and be sort of a foil for them or whatever. And then they just gave that up.
But you know what? Though, they still have plenty of opportunity to delve into that, and it might get there. This could be an ongoing process for years. This trying to have another child, and it opens the door to all kinds of possibilities.
Yeah.
I think had they gone straight into surrogacy, maybe they would have lost the opportunity to be like, well, what would it be like? Is there a time where these two used to have relations in bed, or do they always sleep in this massive bed on opposite ends?
Maybe so. I mean, part of me thinks though that the whole child storyline thing may be this temporary tool, vehicle to take us to a new chapter in their relationship, because we do see that Amanda I'm getting 5, 6, and 7 confused because we're talking about all of them.
Yeah.
But we do see the scene where Amanda says to Blake, "Listen, I don't judge. You don't have to explain anything to me."
Yeah, and then Blake is kind of interested in possibly sharing their secrets with her, and that's when Crickett kind of shuts her down.
Exactly.
So it's interesting to see how, now they've come to this consensus again. What is it, episode 6 or 7, I believe, where they say, let's do this again. And she's like, well, her biggest fear, Crickett's biggest fear, is that Blake isn't going to be around for another 18 years.
Yeah. Yep.
And so that really kind of it starts to tug your heartstrings a bit, just like see her going through this and see this emotion, and just that Blake is willing to even consider that, to have that conversation.
Right.
When just a week or so prior, he was kind of ready to, go to Amanda and be like, look, this is what's really going down. And
I think
because I
that's
feel like
what's
he
gonna
wants an
happen now.
ally. I feel like he's going to go through the process that every gay man goes through.
He's dying to tell someone.
Yep.
He's
He
finally
just
told
happens
Amanda.
to be married and has a teenager at home.
Exactly.
And Amanda told her mom. I
Yeah.
mean, she did share that secret. So
Yeah.
this whole secret, the bigger that circle gets, the harder it is to.
And I wonder how much of a secret it really is. I wonder how many.
I think
people
it's not a secret. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure the entire community has suspicions. I mean, and maybe they just aren't willing to even see it.
Right.
They just
Ignorance
kind
is
of
bliss.
see maybe some fishiness going on, but they're like,
Right.
nah, I'm just gonna maybe stay out of that, because it's almost like that. I mean, they gossip so much that might be too far. Is that too far for them to all kind of expose? I don't know. But I don't know if you guys caught the fact that Blake and Crickett did have their first daughter, apparently, the natural way.
Yeah,
Yes.
back in the 90s,
Right.
I guess they said they
Back in
got
the-
drunk
and
one
then-
night.
right.
Yeah.
Camden, I know that so you were born and raised in Alabama, right?
Yes,
And Alabama is considered part of the Bible Belt, correct?
absolutely.
Okay, so I'm sure you're seeing plenty of overlapping themes from the Dallas-based television show that is GCB to where you grew up in Alabama. And what are some of the things that make you laugh or really get your attention because of your own experience growing up where you did?
Oh my gosh.
Too many. We have
So
we don't have
many. I
hours.
mean, I'm home. I was watching the shows with my mom last night, and she couldn't watch the first 2 episodes for some reason. I think she just was maybe a little turned off by some of the initial controversy. But when we watched it together last night, she's like, "This is so funny, and it's so real." She's like, "All this stuff, it happens."
Right.
Totally.
So, yeah, I mean, and maybe not to the extreme and not to the exaggerated nature that it happens on the show. Obviously, it's a television show. We're not going to watch it if it's literally our life, although that is what reality TV is turning into. Anyway, I mean, I think a lot of the scenes that resonated with me was like the hunting stuff, like the girls going hunting. Like, I never hunted. I was never a hunter. I think that's creepy. I don't want to shoot anything. But there's a lot of girls here that they just do that. And, like, it's like a date. Like, a guy in high school took me on a date hunting. And, like, we sat in the cold all day long and, like, shoot things. And, like, I was not okay with that.
That sounds so fun.
Romantic.
What the hell? What were you hunting? And where is the guy now?
I don't know. We didn't see
Still
any
hunting.
animals, and it was cold, and nothing ended up happening at
Do you
all.
have
I
his?
think it
Do
was
you have his number? Can you get him on the
blown.
line so he can call in? Because seriously,
But I mean, really, are you going to have your bachelorette party, like, on a hunting trip? Not me, but some people do. Like, that's their resort. You know what I mean?
But their hunting gear was pretty high fashion, in all fairness.
I
Right.
love
Oh,
that.
absolutely.
the
I
best
mean,
looking
Kristen
hunting
Chenoweth had
gear.
on like the
So
camo
chic.
leggings.
Yeah.
Wait, but hold on though. I mean, I grew up in a family, an extended family full of hunters, cousins who thought it was so fun to shoot squirrels and then watch them die painfully. My uncles
You don't think
were,
that's fun?
I think there's something wrong
Sick
with
and
I don't know
sadistic,
someone's
yeah.
penis size or something if they've got to get a big gun to feel like a man. That's another episode. But my whole family was concerned about my well-being, as how was I going to learn to be a man if I wasn't going hunting? But
You sound like the Godfather right there, by the way.
that's how my family sounds. No, not really. But when you go hunting, correct me if I'm wrong, aren't you supposed to wear bright orange gear so another hunter doesn't shoot you?
Right.
Sharon had bright
Yes,
orange
you
lining.
are.
I thought they were all like in camo.
They were.
Well,
They
that's-
were,
well,
which is why someone got shot.
Exactly.
Well, these girls are not as smart as they are beautiful. That's all I have to say. Okay. So Camden, how long do you have with us, by the way? Are you with us for the whole episode? Can you stay on the line with us?
Absolutely.
Okay, fantastic. And if there are any viewers watching live or listening live, you can call in and share your comments with us, 424-256-1729. I know we look like total a-holes, but we're actually kind of nice, and we could have a great
Kind of.
conversation.
Borderline.
Yeah.
Even if we disagree, and we love healthy disagreement and different perspectives on the show, because clearly 3 straight men in the studio might be a little biased. Okay.
That's why I'm calling to try to
Level the playing field.
that bias.
So at the top of the show, I did say that this is one of my favorite new shows. I am so happy that the show is on television. And it's funny, Camden, that you were watching with your mom last night, because I've been telling my Mom, you've got to watch the show. I know you're conservative Mormon, but this has infidelity. You've experienced that. It has annoying girls at church who are
He's
competitive.
airing her dirty laundry.
You've experienced that. Yeah, I mean, my mom was the talked about divorcee in Salt Lake City, and all these like pretentious women who were judging our family, and oh, well, she must be a really difficult woman to live with. I'm like, Mom, you've got to watch the show. But what I love about it is it's relatable and it's real life stuff that most of us can identify with. But the writing, I think, while at times might be a little predictable and obvious, it makes me laugh out loud, and that
It is so
rarely,
spot on.
rarely happens.
Yeah.
When Kristen Chenoweth's character, Carlene, when she stole the laptop and waddled out of the house with the laptop
Oh my
wedged
God.
under her skirt, and then she told her husband, she's like, well, the password, I don't know, it's got to be something like atheist, liberal, Obama. I mean, that's
like
some
those words
funny.
are synonymous with each other. Yeah.
It's so good. I love these digs at Obama. And I mean, clearly there is not a liberal person on the show, including, not to go back to the gay character Blake,
I
even
know.
Blake was so
Yeah,
turned
I
off by
know.
Obama.
I was like, wow, there are gay
Well,
Republicans.
look at
you know.
who's on our
there are.
TTT show.
What was that, Camden?
I said, look at who we have on our show, Mr. Republican.
The one and only.
I host a show online, Republigay.
He's known as the
Check it out.
Republic.
Republigay.
I'm a registered Republican.
There's one
I
in the
know.
world. Isn't that
Oh
wild?
my God! Speaking of disagreements,
I didn't want to call you out.
Well, I was a political reporter for many years. I traveled with John Kerry. I was on his plane as part of his press corps. But I also interviewed McCain, and I spent a lot of time with Republican candidates over the years. McCain was so great back in the day. Wow, we have a lot to talk about.
Lovely.
What do you guys think about the sexual innuendo in this show? Because it's really interesting that a religious themed show like this really is over the top. If you took just one episode and you listed out all of the, I don't know, vibrator comments, or I mean, how
Yeah.
many penis references were
Yeah.
there in episode 3, I think?
I mean, Luke was
So
introduced in episode, 5? Naked?
Yep.
No pants?
yeah,
I mean,
that's right. The no
exactly.
pants
Yeah.
thing. I mean, that's pretty
Exactly.
rare too for a primetime show. He was,
Yeah.
it was blurred out, but you could still
I'm not mad
see
at
his
Luke.
booty.
You remember Luke was on Brothers and Sisters a couple seasons ago. He played a gay character on Brothers and Sisters.
Did he?
For a few episodes. He was actually working on, who was it? Peter McAllister was married to Ally McBeal and Calista Flockhart's,
Calista
what's his name? He's on Parks and Rec right now. Rob Lowe. His character, he played his younger brother
Oh,
who
I
was
see.
dating one of the Walkers, the gay son.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, for like 5 or 6 episodes.
I never
I
really
knew
watched
when
that show.
I first saw him, when I got over the initial shock of the blurred out lower region. I looked him up. I IMDb'd him. He was on Brothers and Sisters for a while.
Well, he's doing a great
He's
job.
fantastic.
He's such a
Yeah.
likable character from the
is,
beginning. And at
absolutely.
first, when he was saying like, and maybe you'll just whatever it was, like you'll be like, maybe I'll be the best thing that ever happened
That's
to
a
you.
pretty dead on. That's a good voice right there. That's
Oh, well,
similar. You
it's-
sound like him.
I don't sound like the Godfather anymore.
Well, you
Kind of like him too.
a little bit.
Oh well, if only I looked like him too. That would make
Luke
my
is
day.
my new favorite character, by
Wha-
the way.
why is that?
Yeah.
Why do you
Because
love him?
he's hot.
Oh come on, that's all.
And he's hot and he's straight. The only other hot guy was gay, so I have to finally have a guy that I can like.
And he's a little edgy, which is kind of nice. You can't have an entire cast of
No, he's
hardcore
like an
Republican
urban
Southerners.
cowboy.
Yeah.
You know, he's not like the typical cowboy.
Right.
He's a little bit more intelligent. He's got some kind of business in Austin. You
Right.
know.
Oh, so it's not just his
he's-
looks.
He's an intriguing guy.
He's got a little white boy swag going on. Like he's got
Definitely.
it. Yeah.
And
for
he's
sure.
so refreshingly aware of how ridiculous his family
Yeah.
is and all of his loved ones are, the
Exactly.
people close to him. He always points out that it's just ridiculous and he won't play into this drama.
Yeah, and
But
I think the show needs that. Like,
Yeah.
it was like that first episode, the pilot episode, I loved, but it was so campy, and it could have really started to go into that direction and
Yeah.
just fallen apart quickly.
Yeah.
when you bring in
Definitely.
some real characters like this, which is why I love Heather on the show. I love.
Yeah.
Now I love Luke. I mean, it shows you need both sides of it.
But was
But
anyone?
it also shows that they love people. You know, like he
Yes.
he loves his sister Carlene, even though she's crazy. He's never gonna like betray her and stop being her
We're all
her
learning
brother.
learning life
It's a
lessons from Gigi
family.
right
you know,
now.
everybody's
Exactly.
family is crazy.
Right.
I mean, my family's crazy. They were all at my house yesterday for Easter. You know,
My
like
family is
nuts.
batshit crazy.
But
I love them.
I love them to death, and that's why I love them. It's because they're crazy.
Right.
But wait a minute. Nobody thought that he was a younger man. Did anyone get that impression? Because there are times when we've seen him where he just looks so. I don't know. At times he looks like he's 25 to me.
like a grad
I
student.
agree.
Kind
Yeah,
of. And I
yeah.
think, is she cougaring it? Who knows? Are they supposed to be the same age? Is he supposed to be
No,
a
he's-
younger
I think
guy?
he's actually supposed. He's Carlene's younger brother.
Yep.
Oh, so
he said he
is
had met Amanda once. He had mentioned a few
That's
episodes
Yeah.
back.
when they were in
Yeah.
high school and she dumped the slop all over
Yeah.
Carlene. Oh,
Yeah.
So he's probably
I think
2
he
years
is
younger.
younger.
Exactly.
2 years younger.
And he's
Oh.
it kind of seemed like maybe he might have had a crush on Amanda back in the day, and maybe
Yeah.
maybe they'll delve into that a little bit more.
Well, he
Yeah.
certainly knew who she was, right?
Yeah,
Definitely.
exactly. How could he not?
One of
She
my
was
favorite
evil.
things from the very last one, Sex is Divine, last night's second episode, was that Amanda reveals that she's only had sex with one person before. And so
Amazing.
Luke might be number 2. And I like that she has that. She's been really stressed with, losing her husband while he was being fellatiated in the car wreck, if you remember. That's-
Fellatiated.
Is that,
Yeah.
is that,
Oh
is that a
my
word? Is that a
God.
proper word?
I'm making it a word, like
Fellatiated.
George Bush,
Well,
who's
we
from
all-
Texas.
we
Good
all-
Christian bitches.
Yes.
Ding.
Fellatiated, whether it's a word or not, I think we all can figure out what it means. Right?
Yeah, exactly. And so I really enjoy this thing that's going on between Amanda and Luke. I think that Amanda really deserves it. And I also love that was the relationship that revealed that Carlene had her little slutty phase. And she mentions that she hasn't just been with her husband. She
Right.
had a whole slew of men. when she was
Shocker.
younger.
Oh, total shocker.
She's been
Yeah.
to a few
Hot
different
calling
bases.
kettle.
Right,
Mhm.
right.
Yeah.
It's black.
It's coming out. I mean, the way these characters are being developed, I really love it because, like you guys just said, it was the pilot episode was so campy and it
Right.
could have just gone nuts from there.
Off the cliff.
But I love how every single new episode, I fall in love with the show more. I fall in love with the characters more because you see that they're real characters. No surprise, Carlene was sleeping around in her past. No surprise that the marriages that we thought were so perfect are having issues just like everyone else. I love the episode, I think it was episode 3, where they were each used as like the perfect marriage examples.
Yes.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Right.
That was awesome.
Pastor Tutor, I think he was doing. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, Camden, did you ever feel like Pastor Tutor was going to get together with Sharon? Did anyone sense
No.
that?
Absolutely.
No,
No?
I think that Pastor Tutor has a thing for Amanda. I think now that she's
Yeah, I do
hired as
too.
a secretary now,
Yeah.
I think they're going to go somewhere with that. Because I was raised Catholic, so initially I was like, I can't. But I'm like, not all pastors, like outside of the Catholic Church, pastors can get married.
What do you mean?
Right.
What do you mean? You were raised Catholic and you can't?
No,
get
our
married.
priests can't get married. Obviously, they're celibate their entire lives.
Oh,
so I didn't
yes.
even think about that until a couple episodes ago, and I was like, "Whoa, he's not a Catholic."
Oh,
Yeah, I remember when Sharon made that statement, like, no one should ever be attracted to the preacher.
Right.
Yeah.
You know,
And
I mean, I could kind of see that, but it is true that
He's an attractive guy.
the
too. They
Christian
wouldn't-
denomination,
Yeah.
the pastors do not have to be celibate. I mean,
Yeah.
they're married, have kids, you know.
They cast a
Which is how it
good-looking new
should be.
pastor for a reason.
Yeah.
They'll get into that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Pastors
she
need
was
it too.
very, I don't know. I mean, I would hate to see this being another case of poor Sharon and more unrequited love, but she clearly has a crush on him, whether he feels it or not. Because Camden, like you just mentioned, when she was saying, "Oh no, I could not be attracted to the pastor. That's so wrong. Are you kidding?" You know, she really obviously over-explained herself.
The more times
Yeah.
you say no, the more
Right.
likely. Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think about where the direction that Zach and Sharon's marriage is taking?
I think it's interesting. I think that this whole what was this, the last episode or 2 episodes ago, where they have to have sex with their partner every day for a week.
Yeah.
And now he's starting to open up and he's letting emotions out, and I don't know where she's going to go with this. I mean, this poor girl's been put through the ringer already, and yeah.
I think it's going to bring them closer. I think Sharon is a raunchy little lady, and I think that what she needs is not only emotional attention. It seems like Zach has been lacking in emotional attention, and so sex then made him open up, so he's getting that.
Right.
And then on the other end, Sharon was lacking in sexual attention, and now she's getting it, so she's super jazzed and ready to keep
She can
going.
fit
On the
James
other
again.
end, Jason.
Yeah,
On
that's-
the other end,
Pun
Sharon was lacking.
intended.
Pun intended.
Pun intended. And then she was so jazzed that Zach was all about porn and figuring out these new moves, and so then she started to reenact that stuff for him. I think Sharon is a freak in the bed, and that this sex is divine thing is bringing them closer together.
I think their relationship has slowly come about on the show. Like it has, where you weren't hit over the head initially with Sharon's character and Zach's character, but I think that they when Zach kissed Amanda, it was episode 1 or 2 back
Yeah,
early in the
I-
season.
yep.
I think it
and
was-
now Sharon kind of has a thing for Pastor Tutor, and if Pastor Tutor ends up having a thing for Amanda, it just opens up all these possibilities with those 4 characters to crisscross, and then kind of, I mean, Sharon could get it from both ends. Her husband has a thing for Amanda. Again, get it from both ends.
AJ, no.
Wow.
Yes,
You're
she
rubbing
could.
it off on me. You're
Hopefully
rubbing it off
not
on
from
me.
the pastor. Are you serious? Did you really
I
just
did
say
not,
that?
Yeah. Sorry,
Ay,
mother.
Dios
If you're watching, I
mío.
apologize for that. No, but I mean, poor Sharon. Her husband, isn't, may have a thing for Amanda, and now Sharon then moves on and possibly has a thing for the pastor, and if he has a thing for Amanda, or if Amanda ends, I don't know. I'm
Sharon,
excited
I
about
think,
it.
has a lot to offer, though. And you know
Yeah.
what? She's got a hot body.
And
She
she's
looks
the perfect mother. And she's-
great.
yeah.
She does.
And I know that they must have put on a bodysuit or more wardrobe,
They
whatever,
did.
to make her seem bigger.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
She is looking awesome
Yeah.
now, and she's still a little bigger. I love that.
I do too.
Yeah.
She's got every curve in every right place. It
She-
just
she-
looks perfect.
And she not only looks great, but I think she has a lot to offer. And Camden, I know that boys and girls, we all have body image issues, and the ideal figure is so subjective, and people always think for girls, thinner is better, and for boys, bigger is better. But honestly, I think she has a lot to offer, and I just want her to find her self-esteem. Whether her marriage stays together or not, whether she continues having her crush on Tutor, she's talented in the kitchen.
Yeah.
She looks great.
She's talented in
and
the
go
kitchen.
for it. You know,
Right,
there's nothing
right.
to be ashamed of.
Well, honestly, that's one thing that I do love about this show is, I mean, really and truly, the only reason that Amanda's character works is because she lived in California. Because
Right.
she would not be that skinny.
Mm-hmm.
That's
I
absolutely
mean, in real
true.
life. I mean, all the other women characters are decently proportioned. I mean, even, Kristen Chenoweth, obviously she's very petite with big boobs. And, they're just kind of showing different body types, and
Right.
it just kind of works. They're not all little stick figures.
They eat steak. They eat
That's right.
ribeyes in Texas.
How
Exactly, and
Yeah.
fried shrimps and stuff.
much the ribeyes and the shrimp and all of that. I mean, they rely a bit on stereotypes in the show. Stereotypes about what people in Dallas, high society people might be like. They also rely on stereotypes about Californians and what we are like. And
Definitely.
I love the digs at Californians. I love the digs at Obama. It's
Me too.
because I think it's so funny, and I think it is so true to life, because again, this reminds me of like when I moved to LA and my extended family was like, oh, well, it's kind of a liberal capital city, and are you gonna die? And who knows? Like,
exactly.
people have this idea of the monstrous California, and I love when Carlene's character says to Amanda, when Amanda says something like, "Oh, well, California, blah blah blah, the whatever," and she said, "Have you been to California? Are you kidding? First stop of the apocalypse." I mean, and people believe that.
That's
People
the truth,
really
though.
believe that.
I grew up in a small town in Ohio, and it's not a southern town really, but there's so many similarities with the cast of the show. I see the way that people think, the things that they think that I do living. I've lived in New York and Los Angeles since I graduated from college.
Heathen.
And they just think they're like, "Oh my God, these huge cities. What do you do? How do you get around it?" Like, I lived in Harlem for a while in New York City, and oh my Lord, you live in Harlem. And to me, I'm like, I love it. It's diverse and crazy and full of culture, and I absolutely. But people were. Oh, my mother, when I first moved to a city for the first time, she was scared out of her mind. I've lived in LA for almost 4 years, and I still think she's scared. And she comes out to visit all the time, but she always worries about me.
My mom too. I've lived here 13 years, and my mom says, "You really need to move home to be closer to the nieces. You need." And I go to Salt Lake, and everyone in the suburbs is A, speaking English, B, white, C, Mormon. That terrifies me. If I'm not in a busy, crowded street with different skin colors, different languages, then I'm like, oh my gosh, this is kind of creepy Twilight. Why does everyone look the same?
Yeah, you stick out like a sore thumb.
And you don't notice it when you grow up. When you grow up that way, you think that's just normal.
You think it's normal.
Yeah.
But then when you move away.
Yeah, this is also a very different perspective than is normally portrayed on TV.
Right.
You know, it's almost like this is a void that is finally being filled because there's plenty of other shows that jab, you know, not Obama, that promote Obama or whatever, that jab at Republicans, that jab at conservatives and, you know, redneck Southern people. And I mean, I just feel like this is totally a perspective that has not been represented yet, and it's hilarious that it's finally here.
Right.
But also, again, I think the perspective of the show is totally subjective in that, again, if you're a liberal watching the show, or if you're a conservative religious person, or if you're an atheist, it doesn't matter. Every person is going to interpret these Obama jokes differently.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I personally love them because it reminds me of what I heard growing up, not because I think like, oh yeah, slam Obama.
Right.
It's like, oh my gosh, does this person even realize what they're saying about... You know, it's just the George Bush references, the fact that in this, a few episodes ago, they dressed up as the woman who died, dressed up as Barbara Bush.
Barbara Bush, and then she had
Bitsy.
Yeah, and then she had Gigi dressed as Laura.
Laura Bush. Oh my gosh. I interviewed Laura Bush one time, and that woman is such a sweetheart.
I love her.
Oh my, I think Annie Potts' outfit, she was like, I had to change out of my outfit. That Laura Bush getup was just so depressing.
And this last episode where I think when Carlene gets shot. And they're trying to come up with like a I'm sorry gift basically, and she's like, well, I think I have Dick Cheney's number somewhere. Like those little, but the thing is, like you said, like depending on what perspective you're viewing this show from, I think it's hilarious. I'm a diehard blue-blooded liberal, and I think it's hilarious because I don't think the show is really. I know a lot of conservative people who'd be very offended watching the show, but I think if you have an open mind, everybody from across the board can enjoy it and not be offended, because you have to be able to laugh at yourself sometimes.
The reason that I'm not offended, as someone who, you know, is more conservative and a Republican and from the South and a Christian, you know, I'm open-minded.
Right.
So I'm not like, oh my gosh, how
And
dare you make a
gorgeous.
joke? Because I think it's funny. I relate to it.
Yeah.
But I think it's balanced, just like the jabs at California culture. I mean, the reason they think Amanda's a slut is because she moved to California, you know? Like, the reason they got a divorce is because they moved to California, or whatever it is.
And just because,
you know, they're pulling from stereotypes all over.
And the thing
it
is about
doesn't just apply to this little community. I've said it before. It's kind of a control community. Like you're doing an experiment, and Dallas is their control.
Right.
Exactly.
Well, stereotypes come out of somewhere.
Yeah,
Whether we
there's some
admit it or
truth
not,
to
there
them.
are stereotypes
Absolutely.
about all of us,
Yeah.
and they come from some truth. And I think it's just funny to me that whether you're super conservative or you're Christian or you're liberal or whatever, there are stereotypes about all of us that are exactly dead on sometimes.
Of course.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if you can't laugh at it, just because I think
Exactly.
the show, what the show's showing, and to someone who's super liberal like me, who tends to think that all Republicans are uptight and boring and whatever, what the show shows is that even as a Christian conservative living in the deep South, you can laugh at yourself, and you can be in on the joke.
Exactly.
And you can
Be the
also
butt of the
love
joke.
a character who
Absolutely.
has,
Nothing to do-
views
yeah,
that
yeah.
are nothing like yours.
Right.
I also think that when, oftentimes we think of these shows as, oh, well, what kind of lesson are they teaching us? And I think that whenever you watch something, you get something from it. Maybe you get a good laugh. Maybe you get a lesson from it, something, or it applies to your own life. I am actually kind of a fan of Stereotypes because people always say, oh, that's so stereotypical. Well, Stereotypes are kind of a necessary vehicle to engage in a dialogue
Exactly.
that we might not normally engage in because like you said, if you're extremely liberal and you run into someone who's extremely conservative, what do you have in common? Well, the fact is you have a lot more in common than you might like to think, but on the outside, Stereotypes allow us to laugh at each other and laugh at ourselves and laugh with each other. And I think the show does a good job doing that because someone like Annie Potts' character, oh my gosh, Gigi is so. I want to hang out with
She
her.
is such a
That
gem.
picture I just noticed for the first time that she has hanging in her walkway, it's of her with a Doberman right by her, and she's just standing there all regal in this big red evening gown. And it was just, it's fascinating. It's fabulous. I love it. And I completely agree with you about Stereotypes in that there's a difference between using stereotypes by themselves are not hateful. People intentionally use a stereotype to be hateful.
Oh, yeah.
But you can also use a stereotype, like you say, to bring people together, to bond, that kind of thing.
To show a bit of a vulnerability towards
Exactly.
yourself, then allows other people who may be different from you to be open to doing the same. So if
Totally.
you're like, look, I'm a crazy liberal. I'm the first to admit it. I'm an Obama supporter. I'm really a Hillary supporter, but I love Obama. To give a little bit, and then you can get a little bit back.
Right.
And I think that's what the show does. And I think that's why it appeals to such a broad cross section.
Well, and a woman like Annie Potts, her character Gigi, or even Carlene, people who we might not normally think of associating with. I mean, I'm not hanging out with millionaires every day. Well, most days, but not every day. And people you wouldn't normally identify with in real life, you can identify with on a show like this and say, you know what? I can appreciate that about them. And maybe their views are different than mine, but I don't know. I think it's to be celebrated.
And it's interesting how it shows like whether you're running multiple, billion-dollar corporations like Crickett, or you're Heather who's struggling and her mother worked as a cafeteria worker, I believe, when she was in school. They said a few episodes back, like they both have the same issues at different points. Like Crickett is vulnerable. She dominates the world, financially and in her business life. But she's vulnerable, and that's something that is universal.
And
Whether
she
you're
has some of the
liberal or you're
best-
conservative or whatever. We're all vulnerable.
With her vulnerabilities, I think she has some of the most amazing facial subtlety expressions.
Yes.
And nostril flares, Like she
Right.
gives that look of yeah, I got you, Ronnie. Thanks.
That's why she's my absolute
She's
favorite.
a bull.
What was that, Candid?
She's like a bull.
Oh,
Like I see when she flares her nostrils and she's like pawing at the dirt, ready to charge. I can just see it in her.
that's a
Oh,
good analogy.
This last
is
episode,
good.
it killed me when Heather was trying to get back in their good graces and she brought gifts and she brings a glass of champagne and bubbly to Crickett, and Crickett goes, "That bubbly's not chilled to 52 degrees." And she just looks away and gives her fierce profile, doesn't even acknowledge her. But what I love about Heather, how she reacts, she grabs it and just throws it back. She's like, "What? I don't care. I'm gonna
It's
drink it."
awesome.
Yeah.
Listen, let's get in a quick commercial break, and then we'll meet back here in a minute and talk a lot about it. And again, we're kind of jumping all over the place, but 3 episodes, people, give us a break. It's 3 episodes. We'll be right back.
AfterBuzz TV.
Hi, I was once like you, a lazy, angry loner whose only joy was watching TV and surfing the net. And, like you, after I'd see one of my favorite TV shows, I'd be so excited and have so many questions that I'd actually have to talk to my douchebag coworkers about it at the water cooler. Then I discovered AfterBuzzTV.com. AfterBuzz TV produces after-show webcasts and podcasts for TV series of all kinds, like post-game wrap-up shows for all your favorite TV shows. AfterBuzz TV hosts are industry insiders who break down episodes of shows, take calls from fans, and interview cast and crew from each series, with over 60 different after shows, from Boardwalk Empire to American Idol to Vampire Diaries to Real Housewives, and more. Now, after a night of TV, I can ignore my stupid coworkers, who I hate, and go straight to my desk and watch or listen to all my favorite AfterBuzz TV after shows, and have all the TV fan interaction I need. Thank you, AfterBuzz TV.
AfterBuzz TV. What do you want to buzz about?
Heather's character is really interesting, and we've seen her evolve since the pilot episode, and we've seen Carlene become even more and more condescending. Heather, oh, poor little in over your head Heather. Carlene is so irritating, and I want to slap her 1 second and just like hug her and drink champagne with her another second. But Heather, we saw her, I don't know, we thought she was finding love, and she had temporarily found love. I mean, it moved a little fast for me, to be honest, because it was, we knew she had a crush on this guy, this super billionaire, and then at the end of this debacle, they kissed at the end of that evening, and then the next episode, he gave her diamonds.
Yeah.
Right.
I was like, what the? Oh, maybe this is the way they do it.
He's a multi-billionaire. So let's put that
And then
in
they
perspective,
broke up.
though. Yeah, diamonds to him might not mean.
Okay,
I don't know.
hold on. But in real people terms, like in our terms, I mean, and not, maybe you are millionaires, maybe Camden you are, and you're just hiding it from me. But if you went on a date with someone, like, what would the equivalent gift be? Flowers? Would you give someone flowers on the second date?
Maybe.
No.
Why not?
Maybe.
If you're feeling it,
I mean,
why not?
I could see flowers on the second date happening if somebody who is like picking the other
Wait,
person
you guys
up
don't all
might
get
bring...
flowers and diamonds on the first date? You don't? No,
Not diamonds.
No.
Oh my lord! I still have never gotten diamonds from a boy,
I'm not
and I've
mad at
been
a
dating
diamond.
one for 2 years.
Oh.
I just bring a ring.
Camden, you have a
Just in
boyfriend?
case, you
Fast
never
forward.
know.
You need to
do.
bring this real life boyfriend relationship into our discussion. Are you kidding? So you know what it's like
Well,
to.
yes, I do, and he's not even a Southern boy.
So is
He's
he in
a
Alabama?
California boy,
Oh,
so we're an
Alabama with you?
interesting match.
One of those heathens. I bet the password on his computer is atheist or Obama. Seriously, you should try it if you ever want to spy
Is
on
he
him.
home with
No,
you
I
right
think
now? Is he
he's.
meeting
I
the
think
family?
he's more of a diehard Republican even than I am.
Oh, interesting.
I know. Interesting.
Remind me not to invite you over. No, I'm totally kidding. I'm totally can't. Cannon, I wish you were here in the studio with
I
us. It's so
know.
much more fun
Me
when
too.
we
It
can
would
see
be
your
so much
beautiful
more
face.
fun to have all my 3 gay husbands with me.
I love that you just. I haven't
Who
even
are
met
your
you.
3
I haven't
gay
even met
husbands?
you yet in person. I love that you just said that about me. Thank you for
See,
including
that
me.
is, Cannon, that's a perfect example
You're
of moving
adorable.
too fast
Yeah, I
in a
know, right?
relationship. You've already made him your husband.
I expect flowers next week.
Sorry. Well, I haven't even met AJ yet, but once I do, I'm sure he'll want to be my gay husband.
And newsflash, Camden, I don't know what the case is in Alabama, but gay marriage is not legal in California. So 3-way gay marriage with a beautiful straight girl is certainly not legal. So your 3 gay boyfriend husbands will have to wait.
Keep dreaming.
So Andrew Remington is this guy's name.
That's a solid name.
It is a solid name, and I
Sounds
think
like
he
money.
did. It does sound like money.
Yeah.
I know. What sounds like money? Remington. I can just imagine
Remington
that conversation.
Guns. Is he Remington Guns? Oh, no, he's an internet guy. Darn,
Oh.
that would have been too easy.
And he's not like the Remington Shave Company. No,
No.
because he does, what does he do? Software
Yep.
development or
Yeah.
something
Okay,
like that. Now, I thought he did, his character, the actor who plays him, I think he does a good job of being kind of nerdy and a bit like stereotypical, oh, he's a software nerd, so he's got to be a nerd. And I think he did a good job with that. What I didn't like, though, again, I thought the diamonds were a little soon. I also didn't like this abrupt transition of, wow, they're having this great budding relationship and things are going well, and then suddenly, you know what, I can't do this because someone put a spotlight on you tonight, and I'm gonna walk away. I mean, what the?
That quickly.
Yeah.
Bizarre.
Yeah.
I can't.
Totally unexpected and bizarre, and it makes me dislike his character a lot because that doesn't seem real to me. Like, it's one thing if they got in a fight or something,
Right.
you know, over it, and
Exactly.
maybe he threw a wine glass. I don't know. Maybe we saw a different side of his character in that episode, but not to just be like, I'm sorry, I guess I just can't understand why a
Or maybe if they had
beautiful
even a
woman
real.
would want to date me for me. Like, it was
Yeah.
very pathetic and kind of weird.
Like, you would think that somebody who's that successful could at least, at minimum, have a real conversation about it, as opposed to just walking out.
I think it contributed to the fact that he is a socially awkward nerd that doesn't know how to handle pretty girls. He even said himself, I'm still that teenage dork who can't handle why pretty girls would be interested in me. And so I think his actions fit with that character. But for me personally, just as a greedy watcher of this, I wanted to know more about it.
Totally. And that's I think the issue
Yeah.
where these things have to happen because it's only a 43-minute show and they've
Right.
got to fit all the storyline in. And remember, Amanda did this same exact thing to new Hunkmeister where he showed up and she just said, sorry, can't do it, not
Yep.
going to work, never getting along with Carlene, see you later. And as a viewer, it's frustrating. I can understand, okay, it's TV land,
Yeah.
but I want it to be more real life because I think
Yeah.
if I were in that situation, I would say, I don't like that Amanda is so perfect in this way. I don't like that she doesn't sell people out. Amanda takes the fall for a lot of things. I mean, even going back to Sharon and her issues with Zach, Amanda never said, listen, Sharon, you need to talk to Zach. Zach kissed me, and I pushed him off me.
Right.
Instead, she just kind of says, talk to your husband about it.
Or she doesn't have any gumption. It's very frustrating to relate to her as like a powerful woman. I mean, sometimes she does a great job, and she usually does it when you least expect it. But like on the really easy stuff, like, Luke, your sister is crazy and she's blackmailing me or whatever. Like, you know, tell the truth. Like, they gossip, and maybe she feels like she's gossiping and she doesn't want to cause any more rifts. She's trying to mend everything, but like,
it's
you gotta lose your temper
disorienting.
once in a while.
It's disorienting as a viewer to see a scene like the scene in Boobylicious where Amanda grabs the guy and yanks him down into his chair and says,
she's so willing to react that quickly.
Yeah, she reacts quickly. She reacts strongly, and you know you can't bullshit her. And he says, I'm not leaving a tip. Well, good, because your ass out the door is gratuity enough. That's the powerful Amanda.
But where's that Amanda when it comes to these other women?
Yes, when it comes to Carlene manipulating a situation and saying, I'm going to embarrass your mother if you don't keep your hands off my brother. Why doesn't Amanda say, F you?
It's her mother. I mean, you would think she would have at least that big of a reaction.
And if not, you would think she would defend herself or give Hottie Hotness, what's his name again? Luke. New guy Luke, Carlene's little brother, at least give him the respect of a full explanation.
Yeah.
Like, it feels like they're trying to be like, oh, look, she's vulnerable. And they just sped it along so quickly. Like, you can show vulnerability in other ways. Perfect example, like we said earlier, Crickett. Just a little look. Yeah. All it takes sometimes. Yeah. You don't have to speed it along that way. You don't. It does. Those moments aren't always expressed in the dialogue. Sometimes it's more subtle. And I hope that she finds a way to do that. I look at her character, and not to draw comparisons, but she kind of reminds me of Susan Meyer early on in Desperate Housewives 8 or 9 years ago. Yeah. She's kind of the Susan Meyer of this show, where she's a little more passive. She's a little more whatever. But I hope to fall in love with her the way that I fell in love with Susan all those years ago. You know what I mean? Because
what strikes my attention is that I think it may have something to do with the fact that she's dealing with either men or women in these situations. And when a woman is dealing with a man, I feel like it's easier to have a little bit more power sometimes because it's an empowering feeling to stand up to a man, you know, like, and to tell you can't talk to me like that or whatever. I mean, it's a respect thing, but women to each other are just, it's a weird dynamic. You're kind of afraid of each other, but so you don't want to like say too much because you don't really know what they know. And also, it's just, you have to walk a little bit more on eggshells with other women sometimes.
Yeah, she's coming back into this situation where she's been gone for all these years. And she probably has so much anger with her husband that they haven't really gone into that a whole lot yet. They've kind of touched on it, but she probably has anger towards men in general because of her husband and what was done to her by her husband. Whereas when she deals with women, she feels a lot of guilt and a lot of remorse by how she treated these women when she was younger. So maybe she reacts to them a little bit differently than she reacts to men. Maybe while she grabs that guy and throws him down, she in her head, subconsciously, she might be thinking, my asshole of a husband was cheating on me and left me with nothing, and she's taking it out on every man she comes across.
I think she's inconsistent still too, like we've been saying. It's just that from the first couple episodes, maybe in the first 3, she was so adamant about, I felt, about letting her feelings be known that she thought these women were crazy. And she said it all the time. She confronted her mom regularly in the pilot about how crazy she thought her mom was and how she left her mom because she was mad at her and wasn't going to be getting along with her. Didn't want any of her help, didn't want any of this. And she was not afraid to say, I hate it here and I can't wait to be away from you and live on my own. And now she's like, she's had this sort of change of heart that hasn't really been delved into. What has brought that on from Amanda for her? If it is that she wants to make this new life and become part of this community again, that needs to be fleshed out more.
Well, I think the sad truth is that as we're watching this as viewers and we want this, and that, whatever, it comes down to it's a major network television show. It's a business. And shows nowadays do not last 3, 4, 5 episodes if they don't grab the viewers very quickly and run with it.
So they gotta pack it in.
Shows don't get a season or 2 anymore to kind of evolve. It very rarely, especially on a network like ABC. ABC has a lot of other hit shows right now. If GCB doesn't, come out of the gates, with a, what's the term? Come out of the gates I don't even know what I'm trying to say.
Have a strong start out of the gates. Yeah,
absolutely. If they can't do that, they're done. There's no GCB
Right, and
season 2.
I think that's unfortunate though, because I'm really starting to even like the show more and more as it progresses, and start to want, like you said, wanting this and that to happen because you're emotionally attached to it. So to me, that's a good sign that we're all kind of trying to take control of the show.
I want them to make us wait.
We're into it, you know.
But you can't ignore the mixed reviews, though, because, and Camden, you even mentioned this at the top of our after show tonight, that your mom, the first couple episodes, she didn't want to watch because she'd heard some bad things. And I don't know if you guys have seen, I mean, I think the LA Times was not too kind to the show. Several reviewers out there have not been. Camden, do you know what specifically your mom had heard that was such a turnoff to her? Because your mom lives in Alabama and is religious, right?
Yeah, but she watched the first episode, and it was, and you guys know this from watching the show, the very first episode especially was very exaggerated. It was very over the top. The innuendos were big, and like everything was kind of in your face, stereotype, silly, a little bit unrealistic. And that to her, and to I think a lot of people, was like it was just a stab. You know, it wasn't really delving into any sort of real issues, real
hurtful.
people.
Yeah.
It was just the kind of silly stereotype jab, jab, jab. And now that they've been given a little more time, the characters are coming out, and we're learning about them, and we understand the things that they're going through, and we can kind of step back and see this, like I said, as a controlled environment that's just kind of a setting where these are taking place, but really this doesn't just happen in Dallas. These are issues, family issues and marriage issues and relationship issues and parent issues. I mean, there's a lot of things that happen in the show that we all are going to have to deal with in our lives, no matter where we live.
Right.
So I think now, hopefully people can come into the show with a little bit more of an open mind and really just appreciate the jokes for what they are and appreciate the characters for the people that they represent all over the place.
Right. It's so hard to have a successful pilot anymore. And just that they're still on and their ratings have kind of stabilized now. I hope they're around for a long time.
Oh, me too. I hope it goes. And how can you not love Kristen Chenoweth? She just...
I know. There's so much more to talk about. There's so much more that has to happen for these characters and for the show. It can't go away right now.
I've been in love with her for so long. I remember a few years ago she was on Pushing Daisies, which was one of my favorite shows of all time. I loved that show. But again, it's one of those shows that's a little bit... above a lot of people's heads, I believe, and people didn't really latch onto it. So it was in similar ways to this. It was very out there, and then she was on Glee for a while, and I hope this turns into a 10-year gig for her because I adore her.
For the sake of your relationship with Kristen Chenoweth.
Absolutely.
So typically we would talk about news and gossip and we would go through predictions. Tonight, because we were packing in 3 shows into one show, we've kind of broken away from our traditional format, and we're not going to do those things because unfortunately we are out of time. But Cannon, as you said, there's a lot more to talk about, and luckily we do have more episodes this season. I can't believe, I feel like GCB just started yesterday, and already we're going to be watching episode 8 next week.
Yeah.
So
crazy.
Hang in there, stick with
it.
the show, and if you're on those message boards, be nice about GCB. We want the show to stick around for a while, don't we? Okay, awesome. Well, for Jason Gallaher and AJ Gibson, Camden Bliss on the phone, I'm Derrick Shore. We've got Ronnie in the booth. And for all of you out there who are tuning in, thanks so much. Please call us or comment. You can rate our podcast on iTunes, and you can always find us at AFTERBUZZ.com. So thanks again, and we'll see you back here, same time, same place next week. Take it easy.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.